Each flag marks a grave, a child, a story. And members of Canada's Indigenous groups want those stories heard.
You are bearing witness to a very important truth about Indigenous people and Canada. It has been referred to as a historic, dark chapter.
From the 19th century, more than 150,000 Indigenous children attended state-funded Christian boarding schools in an effort to assimilate them into mainstream Canadian society. The children were separated from their families, languages and traditions. The last school closed in 1996.
I've gotten so many beatings for speaking my language that I'm sure that there's a subconscious block that just didn't allow me to do it.
Thousands of them were physically and sexually abused or died of disease.
We were strapped and beaten. You could scream and scream. There was no one there to come to your help.
In 2008, the Canadian government officially apologised for its part and launched an inquiry to investigate. Hundreds of remains or unmarked graves have been found at former residential schools in recent months, using ground-penetrating radar. Researchers say many of the graves were shallow, in line with reports from survivors that children were forced to dig them. They warn the discoveries so far are just the beginning.
There are very likely to be many human burials in the study area. After all, this investigation has barely scratched the surface, covering just under 2 acres of the total 160-acre residential school site.
Indigenous leaders have called on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the Catholic Church, which ran many of the schools, to open their records immediately and fully so all the remains can be identified.
The responsibility of our children is the families, the community. Sorry about that. I was swearing up and down, and when I'm going to come up here, I want the truth to be out, and I'm going to be strong.
A history of hurt shared by generations who promised to honour those who never came home. Alexi, Al Jazeera.